When a player is playing good football and helping his team win games, he deserves to be rewarded with a good paycheck. But here we're gonna talk about the top 10 overpaid players in Premier League. It's shocking that some of them barely even play and still earn more than their teammates who are in the starting 11. We'll not base this ranking on who earns the most, rather than who deserves their salary the least. Number 10. John Stones, £13 million. The English centre-back is the third highest paid player in the Manchester City squad, and he doesn't play every week. Sure, he was a crucial player a couple of years ago, but now that Pep Guardiola is changing the system and playing with 3 central defenders, Stones lost game time. Manchester City can count on Ruben Dias, Aymeric Laporte, Manuel Akanji, and Nathan Ake. So, John Stones has 4 players ahead of him for a spot in the Manchester City 11. So he sits on the bench but manages to have a better contract than all the other 4. That's not a bad deal financially speaking, but it could cost him a place in the England national team. He'd better think about beating the competition in Manchester or lower down his salary to play in a different team, where he can spend more time on the pitch than on the bench. Number 9. David Fofana, £9.6 million. Now let's talk about David Fofana, the young 20-year-old Ivorian international striker who played for the Norwegian club Molde. He has signed up a contract with Chelsea until 2029 and makes more than his captain Azpilicueta and almost the same as Tottenham star player Heung-min Son. Fofana must have an exceptional agent because not many people knew about him. He didn't prove much, and to be fair, he still hasn't. After all, he was playing in Norway, where the competition is not the same as the Premier League. If he was playing regularly and proving that he has the quality to be an important member of the club, then it would maybe be a little bit easier to understand why his wages are so high. But this guy remains a mystery, in and off the pitch. Number 8. Anthony Martial, £13 million. Manchester United thought they made a great deal when they signed Martial in 2015. But the French never fulfilled the expectations. He played 283 times and just scored 85 goals for the club. To show you how much his player counts to the Red Devils, he was loaned to Sevilla, where he didn't do that much as well. He hardly is playing and is better paid than both Bruno Fernandes and Van Dijk. That's outrageous. Something is clearly wrong there, and Manchester United knows that. But it's really hard to get rid of a player like that right now. No club will ever pay that amount of money for a player like Martial. Number 7. Robin Olsen, £4.1 million. Ready for the only goalkeeper on this list? Robin Olsen earns the same as Tyrone Mings and Mason Mount, and more than Martin Odegaard. And he's not even Aston Villa's first-team goalkeeper. How crazy is that? The Birmingham club counts more on the World Cup winner Emiliano Martinez than on the Swedish. This really is a special case because if we take a look at all the other teams' goalkeepers, the ones that play are those with a higher salary. But Aston Villa's recruitment and management were not great, and they're now stuck with a clearly overpaid goalkeeper. Olsen is 33 years old, so his career is close to the end. He'll probably stay in Birmingham until the end of this contract. One thing is for sure, the club should start valuing their starting goalkeeper more and give Martinez a raise so he's no longer in Olsen's shadow. Number 6. Matt Targett, £5.2 million. It's not a secret that Newcastle United have a lot of money now that they have new owners. But that's not a reason for paying £5.2 million to a player like Matt Targett. It's disrespectful if we compare it to what the French World Cup winner Hugo Lloris earns. How can those two players earn the same amount? One has been a world-class player for his club and country for years, and the other one has had an average career. Sure, they play different positions, but still, there should be more coherence. The left back only made 11 appearances for the Magpies so far. That's not good enough for someone who the club paid £15 million for and has such a high wage. Matt Targett even earns more than Jared Bowen at West Ham. Number 5. Donny van de Beek, £6.2 million. Alongside Frankie de Jong, this guy used to rule Ajax's midfield in 2015, ironically under Erik ten Hag. But today, the midfielder is far from the level he showed in the Netherlands. Back then he was great, a promising talent, but since he arrived in England, it's been difficult for him. He never became an important member of the team and was loaned to Everton and then came back to Manchester. Despite not playing a lot of games, 7 games played for Everton and 10 for Manchester United, this season has a £6.2 million salary. This season, he did pick up an injury that sidelined him for a long time, but the fans have named him Van de Bench long before that. The salary doesn't seem fair at all when you think about some of his teammates like Luke Shaw and Lisandro Martinez. What's even more surprising is that the Dutchman earns the same as Riyad Mahrez. Number 4. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, £8.3 million. Time for another striker to make it on this list. When Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang moved from Arsenal to Barcelona, few thought he'd ever be back in England. Chelsea signed him when Tuchel was still managing the Blues, but as soon as the striker arrived, the German manager was sacked. Aubameyang rarely plays for Chelsea, and he's only scored 1 goal. If you compare him to other key players in the Premier League, you'll find out that he earns more than Alisson and Bernardo Silva. It's safe to say that even when he's playing, the striker is far from the level he showed in Dortmund and his early Arsenal days. So this was a very bad deal for Chelsea, but not so bad for the Gabonese. Apparently his reputation is not great since he's not welcome in Arsenal because he disrespected the club. So it'll be very hard for him to find a Premier League team that can handle his wages and his behavior. Now at 33 years old, he's at the end of his career and will probably wait until the end of his contract with Chelsea before retiring or moving on to a different league that pays good money. Maybe he'll join Cristiano Ronaldo, who knows? Number 3. Jesse Lingard, £10.4 million. Nottingham Forest got promoted and signed a lot of new players. Jesse Lingard was one of them, and Forest offered him a £10.4 million salary. Alright, this guy was a Manchester United player, but everyone knows that he wasn't that good. How can he earn the same as Rashford and Kane? He isn't even in the English national squad. At the time the video is recorded, these are his stats in his new club so far. 16 games played, 0 goals and 0 assists. Heung-min Son is having an average season with Tottenham, but still managed to score 6 goals and 4 assists so far. And the South Korean earns less than Jesse Lingard. What about that? The English player is the perfect definition of an overpriced footballer. The numbers speak for themselves. Number 2. Raheem Sterling, £16.9 million. Another Chelsea player makes the list, and just like Aubameyang, Raheem Sterling once was a crucial player at Liverpool and Manchester City. He was one of the most important players in the squad, scoring and assisting in a lot of major games. Today, he's one of the best paid Premier League players. Only Kevin De Bruyne and Haaland from his old club are paid higher. A £16.9 million salary for a winger who scored 4 goals and made 2 assists in 19 games this season is not a good investment. Of course, Chelsea is still in the Champions League race and could make a lot of money if they win it. But that doesn't make out for those 2 very bad decisions of signing Sterling and Aubameyang unless they both score in the Champions League final and the Blues lift the trophy. Wonder who we rank as the most overpaid player in the Premier League right now? This legend is mostly known for the weird faces he makes when defending. Can you guess who it is? Number 1. Phil Jones, £3.9 million. We finally got to number 1 and we have one more Manchester United player. The most overpaid footballer is Phil Jones. The English defender earns more than Eric Dyer and Seamus Coleman. He has only been involved in 6 games for United since 2019. Before arriving at Old Trafford, he was playing for Blackburn. He arrived in Manchester in 2011 and never left the club. In his first seasons with the Red Devils, he played quite a lot, around 20 games per season. But in the last 4 years, he didn't play more than 9 games for United. Maybe a reason for him to be earning £3.9 million could be his importance in the changing room, motivating the players or scoring headers during corners. But during 12 years in Manchester, he only scored 2 goals. That's not great, even for a center-back who played 167 times. So the only plausible reason behind this enormous wage must be his leadership skills, because on the pitch, he's barely playing. So there you have it, our top 10 list with overpaid players in the Premier League. What do you think of this list? Is there someone missing? Let us know in the comments. A better strategy for smaller Premier League clubs is to copy Brighton's recruitment model. However, that won't be easy to replicate. Check out why in this video next.